Alright, fellow hunters, time for the final episode of the day, which is also the penultimate episode of Season 2, All Hell Breaks Loose, Part 1. Sam and Dean pull up to a cafe off the road to grab a bite to eat. Dean waits the car with the music cranked up and makes a sarcastic comment. Don't forget the extra onions this time. See if they got any pie. Dean looks through the window and sees several people inside. Suddenly the radio becomes staticky and fades out. When Dean looks back into the window, he sees an empty diner. Dean rushes in and finds one guy covered in blood, dead with his head on the table. Looking over the counter, he finds two more dead on the floor. Dean goes to the back door, but Sam's nowhere to be found. Dean, however, noticed traces of sulfur on the windowsill, realizing the demon's been there. He rushes back out the front door and shouts, "Sam! Sam!" at the top of his lungs. Sam awakens to find himself in a deserted pioneer town, where there appears to be no one else around. He quickly reaches in his pocket for a cell phone, but gets no signal. Sam looks around to some of the buildings nearby, and nobody's in sight. Sam suddenly hears footsteps coming from the side of the building. Grabbing a block of wood, he creeps closer to the corner and prepares to strike. The approaching threat turns out to be Andy, who's freaking out over the whole situation. He immediately asks Sam several times where they are, but Sam can give no reply. Sam asks Andy what's the last thing he remembers taking place. "Honestly, my fourth bong load, an intense smell of sulfur." Suddenly they hear screaming. They run following the screams down the street to a locked shack. Sam breaks the padlock, and Ava runs and hugs him. She's freaked out and asks where they are. Giving her no answer, Sam asks her how long she's been there. She says she doesn't know. She only woke up about a half hour ago. Sam tells her that he and Dean have been looking for months. She really becomes exasperated about her fiancé. Sam doesn't tell her the truth about him. However, he realizes what the three of them have in common. At that moment, they hear a voice coming from across the street. The three of them find a man in an army uniform, a young girl who appears to be goth. Sam introduces himself, asks Jake and Lily. Lily questions where they are because a minute ago she was in San Diego and Jake was in Afghanistan. Sam takes a wild guess and asks if they're both 23 and goes on to say that they all have abilities. Sam says they have visions, as in see things before they happen. Ava replies, "Me too." Andy asks that he could put thoughts in people's heads to make them do stuff. Lily, officially freaked out, says that whenever she touches someone, their hearts stop. Sam says the point is that they're all here and have to deal with what's ahead of them. Andy inquires as to who brought them here. Taking a beat, knowing that this one will be hard to explain. Sam says it's more of a what than a who. It's a demon. Dean and Bobby are at a dead end in their hunt to find Sam. Bobby says that things have been quiet in all areas of the country and that if the demon was here, it left no trace. Dean's phone rings. It's Ash. He has got a phone that is bigger than anything he's ever seen, and it will most certainly help him find Sam. Ash just needs to get to the roadhouse as quickly as possible. Dean and Bobby waste no time and take off in the Impala. Sam explains to the group that they're all soldiers fighting a demon war to bring on the apocalypse. With everyone in disbelief, Jake says he's better off on his own and takes off. He walks through the corner and sees a girl in the window of the schoolhouse. Jake walks in and finds the phrase, "I will not kill," written all over the chalkboard. He turns around and sees the girl who proceeds to attack him. But before she can make a mark on him, Sam stabs her with the cast iron rod and dissipates into black smoke. Sam lets everyone know that was a demon. The five of them walk outside in shock. Sam tells them that he's not sure, but he thinks he was an Archiri, a demon who disguised itself as a girl. Sam glances over at the bell in the town square. After studying it for a few seconds, he knows where they are, in Cold Oak, South Dakota, a town so haunted that every single resident fled. This is to just get the hell out, but the only way out is through miles of woods. Sam says the best thing to do is stick together. Sam, Andy, Ava, and Jake enter a ramshackle house in search of salt, iron, or anything that can be used as a weapon. But Lily breaks away from the group, heading into the woods attempting to escape. As she tries to escape in the woods, she keeps hearing noises but keeps on moving. Dean and Bobby arrive at the roadhouse to find it burned down in ruins. They look through the rubble for a trace of Ash or Ellen. Dean finds Ash's watch attached to a charred arm. In the woods, Lily hears a little girl laughing in the distance, but she continues on. Sam finds a chest with hunting knife and collects it. He turns around despite Ava rubbing her temples as though she's in pain. He asks if she's okay. She's just freaked out and hungry. Andy rushes in. He's on 2 bags of salt and they line against the house to protect themselves. At the moment, Sam notices that Lily is missing. The group hears laughing coming from outside and head towards the door. As they walk outside, they find Lily dead and hanging from the windmill. Sam realizes that Lily was trying to leave and that the demon's not going to let them get away that easily. They must gear up for the next attack. Sam was walking alongside Andy and tells him how much he wishes he could get in touch with Dean because they could use his help. Andy says that it might be a possibility and asks if he has anything that Dean has touched. Sam hands him a receipt bearing Dean's signature, and Andy begins to use his psychic ability to put the visions of the town in Dean's head. Dean and Bobby walk back to square one. No idea where Ellen is or if she's even alive still. What Ash knew or where Sam is. At the moment, Dean has a migraine headache and starts losing balance. Hence the vision where he sees Sam with a large bell with an oak tree engraved on it. Bobby realizes the cold oak is where Sam is and they take off. Sam and Jake are making cast iron weapons. Jake reveals his ability to start with headaches, but that after he witnessed a man flip a truck on a bad road and become pinned underneath it, he lifted off him like it was nothing. He says he thought it was a fluke adrenaline thing at first, but then discovered he could bench press 800 pounds with little effort. Jake thanks Sam for being the calm voice of common reason for everyone. We recognizes from experience the look of terror that Sam was trying to conceal. Sam tells him that his brother Dean always says things to calm him, that he'll watch over him and that everything will be okay, but he doesn't know if he believes it this time. Something really big and bad is coming. Later that evening, Sam and Ava are lighting the doors and windows with salt. Ava tells Sam her horoscope told her not to get out of bed. She then asks about her fiancé, Brady. That's what she hates to. She tells Ava that when the demon took her, Brady didn't make it. Distraught from this news, she buries her head in Sam's arms. Aww. Everyone's run down a bed and Sam's trying to stay awake to keep watch. He goes outside for a second, then opens them to see the yellow-eyed demon standing by the front door. He realizes he's dreaming when Jake doesn't hear his warning that the demon's right behind him. The demon invites Sam to take a walk with him outside. Much to our surprise, he goes with it. As they're walking outside, the demon recognizes that Sam's very quiet and Sam responds, I'm going to tear you to shreds, I swear. The demon replies that when he wakes, he can give it his best shot. The demon tells Sam that he and the others are all in a competition to prove who's the strongest, but that Sam's the one he's rooting for. One of them will survive and be the soldier from his generation, the leader in this upcoming war. Sam wants to know who the soldier is supposed to lead, and Demon implies that it will be an army that he almost has assembled. Sam tells Demon that he's ruined his life, killed everyone he loves. The demon monker replies that it was the cost of doing business. Jessica had to die because Sam was all set to marry her and become some tax lawyer with 2 kids in a little McMansion in the suburbs. He had to remove her in order to keep Sam focused on his fighting skills. Sam asks him why he killed his mom. The demon says that was just bad luck. She just happened to walk in on the 2 of them 22 years ago. It wasn't about her. It was all about Sam. The demon pauses and said that he is in a terrible mood. He will show Sam what happened the night his mom died. The demon takes Sam into the past to replay the scene of Mary's death. Sam sees the demon standing beside Sam's crib, slitting open his own wrist and dripping blood into baby Sam's mouth. Sam is worried by the fact that he's consumed demon blood. A drowsy Mary approaches the darkened nursery to tend to fussy baby Sam, but thinks it's John already standing next to the crib. She proceeds to back down the hall. Sam tries to call out to Mary, but the demon reminds him that it's only high-def instant replay, not real, and she cannot hear him. Mary hears the TV and finds John actually asleep in front of it on the couch downstairs. She runs back up into Sam's nursery. The demon turns around, revealing his yellow eyes. She gasps, "It's you." Sam realizes his mom apparently knew the demon already. The replay goes on to show Mary being forced up the wall toward the ceiling, to Sam's horror. But the demon awakens Sam before he could see the consuming fire ignite. Jake is shaking Sam out of the dream, alerting them that Ava's missing. Sam and Jake head outside and split up to find her. They notice her lurking behind a nearby building. Andy walks around inside the house to find Ava as she breaks the line of salt on the windowsill. He's surprised to find her and asks if she heard them calling for her. She says yes, she did. She looks at Andy coldly and then places her hands against her temples, as if she has a headache. Black demon smoke seeps in through the window and manifests as Sam and Cherry that threatened Jake earlier. The demon then attacks Andy and tears him to shreds. Ava then generates tears and screams to draw the guys back. Sam runs back inside, sees Andy's body and asks her what happened and where she has been. Ava tells him she went to get a drink from the well, and when she came back, she found him like this. However, Sam notices that there were a break in the line of salt to the windowsill and knows that Andy wouldn't have done it. All the pieces about Ava begin falling together for him. She's been gone for 5 months as the only one with all that time who can account for it. He believes that Ava has gained the ability to control demons and is using that ability against them. But the last time she got a sudden headache was exactly when the demon got Lily. Rousey and Sam has figured her out. She comes out and admits that she's been in this town the whole time. More and more children like her and Sam have appeared, usually 3 or 4 at a time, and she's killed them all. She's declared herself the undefeated heavyweight champ. Sam is horrified and asks her how she could do such things. She tells him that she had no choice. It was them or her. She says that after a while it became easy, even fun, once she stopped fighting who we are. She puts it to Sam that if he would just quit his hand-wringing and open himself up, he'd realize all the things he's capable of. She mocks Sally, says, "Sorry, Sam," but it's over, then attempts to summon a demon to attack him. Jake arrives and breaks her neck from behind as she falls to the ground. The demon smoke dissipates back out of the window before it reaches Sam. Sam and Jake head outside and start walking towards the woods. Sam says that since Ava was controlling the demons, she should be able to make it out of this town now that she's dead. However, Jake is not feeling the same way. He says the demon has come to him in a vision and told him that only one of them is getting out alive. He says he likes Sam, but it makes no sense for it to let it kill them both, and so regrettably he has preferred to take Sam out. Sam pleads with them that together they can kill the demon and live. Both of them have weapons, Sam a knife, Jake an iron rod. As a gesture of trust, Sam lays down his knife on the ground, with 2 of them asking Jake again not to do it. Jake lays down the iron rod as well, but Jake turns on Sam and lands a punch, packing all of his superhuman ability. Jake attempts to hit Sam again, but Sam manages to dodge his punch and Jake punches his hand through the wooden fence. Jake rebounds and delivers a crunching blow to Sam's shoulder. Sam then lands a few punches, eventually knocks him out with a strike of the cast iron rod. Sam considers, but decides not to use the chance to slay Jake as he lays unconscious. He drops the rod to the ground. He then hears a familiar voice call his name. He turns around and sees Dean and Bobby down the road. He calls out to Dean while stumbling toward them. Jake gets up and grabs the knife, runs up behind Sam and twists into his spine. Dean rushes to save Sam, and he drops to his knees in Dean's arms as Bobby sprints after Jake. Dean tries to roll Sam back to consciousness as he fades, but it is too late. Sam dies in Dean's arms. Aww. So now let's take a look at some continuity surrounding this episode. This is the first appearance of Jake Talley. Brandon Winchester previously appeared in What Is and What Should Never Be. Bobby Singer previously appeared in Tall Tales. Ash previously appeared in Hunted. Ava Wilson previously appeared in Hunted. Andy Gallagher previously appeared in Simon Said. Azazel previously appeared in My Time of Dying. This marks the first of many episodes in which one of the brothers actually dies. This episode shows Sam was tempted to kill Jake even though he did not do in the end, resulting in him being stabbed. It is revealed that Mary knew the yellow-eyed demon. How she is acquainted with him was later revealed in the episode In the Beginning. And now finally, let's take a look at some trivia surrounding this episode. Azazel implied that he fed demon blood to many other generations. This explains why Azazel sought out Rosie Holt, 23 years after Sam was born. In the scene in which Andrew Gallagher finds the salt, the group notices that Lily has left. When Sam yells Lily's name, Ava and Andrew are noticed we start up with the loudness of Sam's voice. Ava quotes Albert King's song, Born Under a Bad Sign, when she says, "If it wasn't for bad luck, I would have no luck at all." Coincidentally, Born Under a Bad Sign is also the name of another episode this season. This episode shares similarities with the season 3 finale of Charmed. In both title and the death of the main character through events manipulated by the main villains at the time. Sam was killed in a survival competition set up by Azazel, where Prue Halliwell was killed by an assassin sent to stop her and her sister's interferences by the source of all evil in the Charmed universe. Andy's earrings are on the opposite ear from when he first appeared in Simon Said. So overall, as the penultimate episode of Season 2, this episode is just really, really dark, and of course it does set up certain things will happen next episode, so there you go. So overall, I give All Hell Breaks Loose Part 1 5 Impalas out of 5. Well, anyway, tune in tomorrow as we take a look at the final episode of Season 2, All Hell Breaks Loose Part 2. So, until then, carry on, my wayward sons and daughters.